Welcome into Business Builders on 93.7 The Ticket. Business Builders is where grit meets strategy and good ideas grow into great companies. Here are your hosts, Matt Warner and Rebecca Pearson.
All right. Good morning. This is Business Builders with Matt and Rebecca at 93.7 The Ticket. We are here where you can listen to us or watch us on the video stream on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. I'm never going to get it.
It's everywhere.
I almost said Twitch, which we haven't had in like 2 years. So I'm kind of programmed. And we're on channel 961 with Allo. You can call or text at 402-464-5685. How you doing today, Matt?
I am doing outstanding. Hey, real quick, since this is a sports channel, isn't there just some awesome things going on in Nebraska right now? I mean, you've got Friday Night Lights coming to kind of close. You got a whole bunch of football, high school football teams that are in their quarterfinals that are fighting and battling. And oh my goodness, there's so many good games. Basketball's firing up, and man, they look like they're going to be fun to watch.
They are.
The wrestling is rocking and rolling, and they're oh my goodness, they are so good. And I see that they're trying to fill the stadium and trying to get more, the Bob. They're trying to fill up the Bob, and there's just so many cool things going on right now. I love this time of year. We just got done with the World Series. You know, I mean, it feels like sports. This is the best time. So, we go through that lull where there's really nothing going on in sports. 2 months
of the year,
and it's like, oh my goodness. And now you got NFL, you got high school, you got college, you got, just so many cool things going on. I love it. And how about them? How about that volleyball? I love talking about the volleyball team, but did you see the streak they're on? I can't even remember what it is. How many teams they've swept?
Yeah.
It's
is
like
it
30,
15 or so? Oh,
it's like it's a 30 in a row or whatever.
Right.
Oh my goodness.
Season, yeah.
And those girls, I was watching the other night, and I'm like, oh my goodness, they're like angry, and I think it was because the match was so close, and they're like, this shouldn't be this close.
Right.
Like you just saw that fierce competitiveness coming out of them. And I love that volleyball team. I love watching it, but I also like it because then I can take it back to our business, and I can relate some of those things to our business of listen, let's don't get complacent in our business.
Right.
Let's keep working on our culture. And that's a little bit about what we're going to talk about today. Because it is kind of my it's my thing, right? And it's what I love to do for our people, is to constantly make our culture and our competitiveness better where we're at.
And one of the great things about our show is that we get to talk about these things, right? We learn through talking. And I'm just going to give one more shout out on volleyball before we leave it, because we started post-game volleyball coverage this year with Mandy Munson. And if you have not tuned in to listen to it, Mandy is doing a bang-up job.
Very good.
Talking about and educating all of us who we love volleyball, but we don't understand it the way we think we understand football. Mandy's doing this amazing job of kind of telling us all what's happening with each of the players, how they're prepping, why they're doing what they're doing,
right?
What's going on with the other teams. She's really good at doing that in a very authentic way. So if you haven't tuned in to Post-Game Volleyball with Mandy Munson, do that. Follow the Huskers. And if you're listening outside of Lincoln and you're like, who the heck are the Huskers? And you just tripped over this business show.
Right.
We're talking about leadership and culture today.
Right. Which that's part of the reason why Nebraska volleyball is so good, right? Because John Cook and just built this incredible culture. And it amazes me. And I think one of the topics that I wrote down today for us to talk about, and he is a beaming light with that, because he left the program in such great, the book Good to Great. You've read the book Good to Great with Jim Collins. He talks in there about the real testimony to whether you're a good leader or not is how you leave the business and how you exit it and what it does after you left. He talks about Lee Iacocca in the book, and he says Lee Iacocca really wasn't that great of a leader, because when he left, he used such a command and control presence that the company literally crumbled behind him. And then the next leader had to come and clean it all up, which it took 2 or 3 more leaders after that to even get Ford fixed and back on track.
Right.
Or Chrysler, I'm sorry.
Chrysler, yeah.
He was at Ford, went to Chrysler.
Yeah. And he led Chrysler through kind of a really traumatic bankruptcy in time, I believe.
Right.
And so Lee got noticed for that, maybe not necessarily for everything.
Right.
Right.
But John Cook left that program,
right,
1, with another great leader,
yes,
2, in good hands with good culture, and it wasn't toxic, and all the girls stayed. Everybody's there. The coaches, I mean, what a great testimony to a great leader right in our backyard.
Right.
So super proud of him for that.
Great example, actually, on late night last night, I think, or sometime this week, DP and Harrison were talking about this exact thing in leadership on teams.
Dang it, I missed
Who's
that.
the leader? I know. So you'll have to go back and listen to it. I'll see if I can find out which night it was. But anyway,
I love
it's a constant conversation in sports for sure, and a constant conversation for you and me.
It is.
And you're fired up today to talk about leadership.
I am. And remember, and I think I told you this before we stepped into the studio, that all of these things are literally going on in our company right now. These are things that I'm recognizing that's going on. All right. So I'm going to start with just a comment.
Okay.
Harley Davidson, the brand, is the third most popular tattoo in the nation. Why is that?
For me, the first thing I think of is just an incredible brand, right?
Yeah.
Just an incredible brand legacy. And whether you've ever owned a motorcycle or a piece of Harley merchandise or whatever, there's probably very few people. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if the younger generation knows Harley the way that we do, but certainly it's an iconic brand.
Absolutely.
Right. And why it's being tattooed on someone, different story, right? Because the audience that drives motorcycles might be more interested in having tattoos for affiliation, association, wanting to be a part of something than lots of other brands that are also well known, but you don't have like Kimberly, you don't have Pampers tattooed on you.
Thank goodness, right?
And Pampers is a huge brand that probably most people in this country also know, right?
Right.
Okay, so there's something in that, which I'm sure you're going to lead into, but I don't know why, to be honest. I don't know why.
So Simon Sinek talks about this, and I totally stole this from Simon Sinek, and he talks about how even Nike doesn't talk about their shoes. They talk about just do it. Just do it, right? Yeah. And Harley Davidson talks about freedom and ride to be free, and they're the theory that the wind's blowing through their hair and that you're just out there in the open, and that's what they brand. That's what that's their brand, and that's what they talk about. So Harley Davidson is an amazing brand. I personally will never get a tattoo. I'm not a tattoo person. I'll never get one. I recently just jumped off of a 500-foot cliff. That's easy for me to do. I don't think I'm tough enough to get a tattoo.
Oh gosh, I'm with you.
And plus I'd probably change my mind. And everybody that knows Matt Warner knows that, okay, he is constantly, my brain is constantly working, and I'd be like, don't like that tattoo anymore. I was actually, I was going to change the name of Empire like 3 times because I'm like, I don't like the name. It's too arrogant. It's too bold. It's too much. I wanted to soften it a little bit, but ultimately everybody talked me out of it, which I'm glad now. I'm happy that we stuck with it because consistency in business is important.
And don't you have a crown for
I do. I have a crown as a logo.
We've never actually explored this whole thing yet.
And I have a crown over the E, represents the Christ crown, Trinity, and all that. But that's to keep me humble. So it really is a powerful brand also. But what got me thinking about this is let's build a culture in business that your people would be proud to wear as a tattoo. So if you're constantly thinking, what do we have to do around here to get our people to buy into our culture so much that they want to put a tattoo on their shoulder of your brand, whether it's an Empire E or the ticket logo, or whether it's a lawn mowing business or whatever, would your people want to put that brand on their body as a tattoo? Now, not literally, please, people. I'm just using this as a mindset in business. As leaders, we should be wanting to push a culture through our, by the way, as the business owner or a business leader, you have the power to control the culture. So it's up to you to be installing that awareness in your company and within your brand.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's your job to set the tone for whatever is going on in the company. Now, there's a whole lot of things in this conversation of leadership and culture. There's managing, right? There's a lot of things. So I don't know where you're going with your culture conversation as it relates to leadership, but clearly whoever owns and runs the company has the accountability and responsibility to establish some kind of a culture. Some people do that, some people don't.
Right. Well, so let me take us down another path.
Okay.
What you appreciates. That's part of that culture also. So what I'm trying to say, and this is, to me, this is so simple. It's elementary, but it's such a big hurdle that we're even going through in our company. And I'm very proud of our culture. I'm very proud of how we do things. And I talk to a lot of other business owners that are proud of their culture. But the person that puts their hand up and says, I don't want you to learn what I know because I don't want you to take my job from me, is probably going to be stuck making what they're making for a very long time.
Making the widgets.
Yes. But the person that says, no, come on, I want to show you all my tricks to my trade. I want to show you how to make the widget, whatever it is you're making. I have like 4 or 5 different things.
Good, yes.
Whatever you're making, and it says, no, I want to teach you. I want to show you. I want to make you. Well, what does that do? That adds to their value, and ultimately is going to appreciate their value, which in turn they're going to make more money.
Right.
If they make more money and you're their leader, you're going to make more money also. So anybody out there that tries to tell me, well, I'm just a worker bee, I'm just in charge of these 3 or 4 people, I'm kind of stuck where I'm at salary wise or hourly wise, I'm not going to make. Are you growing the people around you? Mm-hmm. Are you challenging the people around you to get better at what they're doing? And that's good culture, by the way. And that's good culture at the next level, right? There's culture at my level. And then there's culture at the level of a foreman, or even an apprentice, somebody that's learning. What they learned that day, are they going to pass it down right away to the next person? Or are they going to say, well, I don't want somebody to steal my job?
Right. I mean, there's so much in that. So maybe we can kind of carve off some pieces to share with the audience. Just so, I guess, first thing for me, why is this coming up for you today? What happened today in your life, or yesterday, or this week, that makes this top of mind for you without sharing too much? So
I do these 30 to 40 minute coaching sessions with a lot of my leaders. And one of my leaders came to me just 2 weeks ago and said, we have a real problem here in a riddle. We call it riddles. We have a real riddle here to solve because we have an entire group or division. I don't want to single them out too much here, so I'm trying, because if they're listening, I don't want them to, because actually we're trying to find a positive way to solve this riddle. Okay. But they came to me and said, this whole entire division is stagnant. They only do this many feet a day or a week. They only do this. And it's, nobody's training their replacement or trying to get them better. So with that being said, I had said, have we taught them that in order for them to move up, they have to train their replacement? They have to train their replacement, because we can't move you we can't move you up without replacing that void, right? We don't want to have a void out there.
Right.
So it's literally going on right now. And man, and Rebecca, I am so proud of who we are and what we do. I think we really do have one of the best cultures in the state of Nebraska. Like I would put us up against anybody, but what I find is that you constantly have to be cultivating your culture.
Yes.
and looking for, because wherever you don't sow flowers, you're going to get weeds.
Well, and one person can have quite an impact, good or bad, in your culture, right? So
Absolutely.
Just even as people come and go, because that happens in business, right? You still, if you want to maintain that consistency in the culture, and I'm going to come back to the branding and the tattoos, you've got to be engaged in establishing what that is. But regardless, people bring their own component to your culture. And so having a different mix of people can also impact that. So what I was thinking of when you were talking about this and the branding and the tattoos and the challenges that you're talking about that we all have is when if you are a leader, this is what I always used to say. So now this is a Rebecca-ism, right? I'm sure it's not original. Somebody has to follow you. Otherwise, you're not leading Jack, as I would say.
Right.
You're not leading Jack if no one's following you.
Right.
Okay. And you can tell if people are following you because they're doing what you want them to do. And if they're not doing what you want to do, you're not leading. Okay.
Absolutely.
Like just, but there's a lot in that statement of, okay, why aren't they doing that? And have you enabled them and empowered them and given them the tools and set the culture? And, have consequences if that's required. So they know, don't paint over there, paint over here, right? There's a whole bunch in that. But we used to get in these debates in my corporate life of leadership versus management, right? And
yes.
Completely different. And then culture is kind of wrapped all around this. Yep. So if someone's putting a tattoo of your brand on their shoulder, I would think you are establishing something they are proud to be associated with. And that may or may not be the leadership, but inside a company, often cases, it ties back to what the leaders are doing. So what does that prompt in your mind when I say all of that? Because I was kind of a dump.
well, too. So, and this is a huge thing. By the way, I am so amazed at how much information anybody out there that's listening today, please get a YouTube subscription, listen to this radio station, listen to ask people in the industry, because there's all kinds of information. There's so much good information. And by the way, you have to lead differently today than you did yesterday. Mm-hmm. And you constantly have to be evolving and making it better. And remember this too. Today's workers want to be a part of something bigger than themselves, not just a paycheck. It's a different mindset. Mm-hmm. My generation, your generation, we were motivated by a paycheck.
Yep.
The generations now are they really want to understand their why. Mm-hmm. And so this topic that we're talking about of culture and making it, I hope everybody that's listening out there is like, how do I get more information? How do I dive into this? Well, you got to wake up every day wanting it. And I believe that's why our culture is constantly getting better, is because my leaders want it more.
Well, our generation, we weren't allowed to contribute that way. Like evolution of management, culture, and leadership has changed dramatically in the last 4 decades. And it wasn't such a thing that you wanted your workers to be a part of that. That is an evolution, from my experience, an evolution on the study of organizational design and what works and how to keep people engaged and how to get performance and who's talented and how to take care of that. Like, so a lot of this in our generation, in my mind, wasn't really cultivated. Now, there's some standouts you point back to even then, but as far as an expectation across the board, I don't think it was there. Whereas the generation now, they are our own kids or even our grandkids, depending on what generation we're talking about, where hopefully we've set an expectation. You have a voice. You can speak up, you should lobby for things, and actually you should care about some of these other things, right? And that could be everything from caring about the planet to just caring about your fellow man.
And do you see that at the university? So you teach at the university, and do you see that change also with them embracing this culture that they would want to brand something on their body that represents what makes them happy? I mean, do you see it in the kids?
I do, but I would say I see it in a level of belonging. And I think this is actually a repeating theme for me in a lot of things I'm involved in, and just then inclusion in general, or just acceptance in general of people's differences. There's a desire for the university kids to belong. And that we know this from when we were kids and bullies and all this other kind of stuff, right? Where you didn't belong, but humans need to belong to something or someone or a group, and back to branding and right, Harley. So I see it more that way. And they're looking for, how can I belong? Some of that is having a cause or a purpose, which may be very much, in a nonprofit type way of thinking. Some of that is, hey, I want to be with the cool kids, or I feel like I have something to share, but I don't know how to do it. And, I teach entrepreneurship. So a lot of that is trying to tap into something they think they can share, but they don't really know how to do it. But that sharing makes you belong, right? So that's how I would describe it. And at that age, they're still looking too, right? It's not like they know what they want to do. So that makes sense at some level that younger generation's doing that. But yes, I definitely see it.
Well, that's good. And by the way, every generation comes with a strength and a weakness. And I think right now that is the biggest strength in the upcoming workforce. Now, we have a lot of young people. The whole entire company is very young. I sit in a lot of meetings, and I'm a decade older than the next oldest person. So I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm literally almost always the oldest person in the room. And I'm 53. So I'm like, holy cow, we are such a young company. We have young people. But I've also noticed that we have a lot more young people that are coming with some good ideas, and they want to implement action, and they want to take it. Which, by the way, as a leader, sometimes too that comes back and bites us, because we have instilled such an open dialogue in our company that when we get an evaluation back, sometimes they hurt. They hurt me because people are honest.
Oh, right.
And they know
and you
that
need them to be honest.
You knew it, but that hurts.
Like you're talking to yourself. Of course it hurts because generally you're trying.
Right.
Generally. If you're not trying, then you got your head in the sand, whatever. But yeah, it hurts because you're trying. And then you're like, okay, well, whatever. It's not working.
Well, yeah. Why are they complaining about that? Because we're doing this and this. But then you're giving them that freedom to talk. So that's another thing. As leaders, we have to once in a while put our egos in check and say, we're giving these people the freedom to tell us. And by the way, I learned this because about 2 or 3 years ago, I was reading a few just random what people have to say because I like to hear what are people thinking, and it feels good because most of the time it's positive. And then all of a sudden you'll get a comment, and it's like, oh my gosh, how can they say that?
Yeah,
are you kidding me?
Do you have that habit? So people I used to work with at ExxonMobil, we would do these surveys. Actually, we did one here at the ticket. So, probably on me to dig that thing out and start working on some of those things. But, I remember the person reading feedback about themselves, especially if it was the senior executives. Who wrote that? I want to go talk to them because that's not right.
Yeah, that's not how I am.
Stop, halt. You realize this is their perception and perception is reality. You cannot tell them not to think that.
Right.
This is going to backfire on you. Stop. Don't do that.
Right.
How many times I saw that? Always dudes. Sorry.
Right.
Always dudes.
It's always. Oh, speaking of always dudes, the most, when I did that cliff jump, right?
Yeah.
I asked the guy, how many people back out? And he said usually about 1 or 2 a week. Now they do about 15 to 20 jumps a day, 7 days a week, 11 months out of the year.
Then. Yeah.
So no, not much. Most people, once they get there, they're ready to go.
Committed.
But he goes, do you think it's more male or female that back out? Well, obviously he set me up for this. So I'm like, well, it's probably male. And he's like, absolutely. And almost always CEOs.
Wow.
And I'm like, oh, come on. How do you know that? And he goes, no, I'm serious. So here I am. Well, I sure don't like the title CEO. I like the title founder, but I'm in charge of our company. And I'm thinking, I'm not backing out now, no matter what. But,
but he set you up for sure to make sure you didn't back out.
He's like,
maybe he says that to every guy that comes through.
That could be. But he said very few times will a woman back out. They're almost always going to do it. But with that being said, we got to take a quick break, and we're going to come back. I've got a few more for us to talk about. Nice. But this is all about culture here on The Ticket.
The savings continue all November long at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. They're extending their red tag sale with machines priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Plus 10% off snowplow kits, 10% off fly motocross gear, and 50% off all in-stock road tires. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location. They can't wait to get you set up for the holiday season.
This Black Friday, it is time to hit your goals before the new year even starts. At Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping, get 40% off our next 10-week challenge, plus 6 weeks for free to kickstart your fitness journey. Start training December 1st with kickboxing, strength training, and personalized nutrition. So when our official challenge begins January 10th, you're already ahead of the game. Spots are limited. Don't wait for January to make your resolution. Start strong now. Visit fxblincoln.com or stop by one of our 2 locations at South 40th and Yankee Hill or North 70th and Vine. Farrell's Extreme Body Shaping. Stronger starts here.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
Hi, Charlie Stone here, and it's that time of the year again. Time for the annual Happy Honda Days at Honda of Lincoln. With me on the line, Andy Goodyear, to tell us all about it.
The exciting news is we have more selection and more savings. We have over 400 new 2025 and 2026 Hondas to choose from, with a great opportunity to get year-end savings on every remaining new 2025.
Do you have some Happy Honda Day specials?
Sure do, Charlie. For example, you can lease a new 2025 Accord Sport Hybrid for just $349 a month, and we have financing from just 0% APR. We've also included over 125 pre-owned of all makes and models, and as always, our certified pre-owns are in this sale as well.
You're listening to Business Builders on 93.7 The Ticket. Here are your hosts, Matt Warner and Rebecca Pearson.
All right. Welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket, Business Builders. Don't forget to check us out on Allo 961. Don't forget to drop us a chat, 402-464-5685. And hopefully you're watching us on YouTube or listening in your car. Always a great show. Always great fun. Can I get a woo?
Woo!
Okay.
Hey, by the way, I downloaded the app. So
Yeah.
I will tell you, people out there, and I've got my friends, Robert Whitaker,
Yes.
my friends that are out of state, they're downloading the app. What a great way. I like to listen to the volleyball pregame on the app, put on my headphones and before the game.
It's
and listen
amazing.
to the app is really, really good. Highly recommend the app. So
Especially if you're out of zone or if you get a little static, which we occasionally get even in downtown Lincoln, bad, when it's kind of muggy out, sometimes the signal's bad. But I'll tell you, I was just looking at stats last night because I'm preparing for a meeting, and I'm always blown away by what countries people are listening to us from.
Oh, you're kidding me.
No.
Tell me.
Yeah, unbelievable. So last night, what the heck did I saw some random country that I had not seen before, somewhere in Africa. We had quite a few, and sometimes you get bots and whatever, so I'm always worried about that. But we had several in Europe listening to us. Japan's always a common one. We certainly have lots of states here. When they do roll call in the morning, you hear a lot of that. But yeah, we have people listening to us all over the country. I assume they are alumni, but this is one of the things I don't know.
Yeah, more likely. I mean, listen, almost every town you go to, you can find a Husker bar. Why is that? Because we're proud of our culture and who we are, which is what we're talking about today.
It is absolutely, and even around the world, right? I'm sure that in some of these cities, in London, where they have I'm sure there's a dominance. There's probably a Husker bar in London, and just common places like that. But regardless,
I love it. It's one thing I almost always do whenever I'm going on vacation. And not on the first leg, but on the second leg, I almost always have a Nebraska shirt or a Nebraska hat.
Oh, yeah.
I have actually, it's a Big 12 Nebraska hat that I've had for so long. And I almost always wear it. And because I almost always get hey, go Big Red.
I'm a 100% branded every time I leave this town and every time I come back.
I love it. I love it. And it's fun, right? It's
fun. It is fun. And I didn't grow up here. So, when you talk about, I'm marketing for people who've been listening to us, brand and marketing, among many other things, but that's kind of the core DNA.
Right.
And, it did not take either me or DP, both of us believe in this, right, to kind of get our colors on and join the Nebraska crowd, but I absolutely love it. And it is a belonging thing, but it's also a understanding of what that brings. And one of the reasons we moved here was because of the people. So just the shout out, I forget where I was. I was in truly some random place, like a mall in North Carolina, wearing a Husker shirt. And somebody's like, go Big Red. And I'm like, and it's the coolest, right? You're just like, that's so awesome. Where are you? So like Harley, a very, very big brand.
It is a big brand. And I see the Husker Inn tattooed on people's bodies all over. Yeah. And to me, it's just weird. I'm thinking, why would you tattoo that on your body? Why not have a mission statement? But really, to them, it is their mission statement. It's them saying on Harley, they're saying I'm free to ride. On Nebraska, it's saying I have my roots are in Nebraska, and it's so amazing to me that
instant identification of someone else like you, at least at some level.
I am very confident I will never ever get a tattoo, and it will definitely never be a brand of something. If I do get one, it's going to mean something different. I don't know what, but it's not going to be a brand of something.
Melanie on your chest?
No. I'm not. I'm just not that kind of.
Yeah.
All right, hey, so I was thinking a little bit on break, a little bit about you're at the university and you interact with young people, and there's something that's going on in our company that I notice a lot, and it's not just the young people; it's even the early 40-year-olds really have a hard time being disliked. And this is what I wrote down: I can either make people feel better, or I can take the opportunity to make them better. And this is something I'm trying to teach right now to my younger people. What's your thoughts on this whole? I don't want to be honest with you because I don't want to hurt your feelings.
Right.
In business.
Tough. Well, I'm a talent-based person, as you know. So we've had talent class on here before, but that's how I approach those things. So it's kind of both to me in the sense that to make someone better, which is always where I come from. It's all about finding your talent and letting you be great at that. Okay. Now, you don't have the luxury of doing that all the time where they don't have to do stuff. But if I want to make somebody better, I want to make sure they are the round peg in the round hole. That's what I always have said, right? So firing away at that. However, if they have done something where, they make a mistake, because people make mistakes, then I'm in okay, how do I help them understand the mistake that's been made in the context of the job? Not necessarily trying to make them feel better, but more of an acceptance of mistakes happen, understanding why the mistake occurred, and is that something they can learn from? So now we're back to it's okay to fail,
right?
As long as you learn from it, right?
Yeah,
so
fail fast, as long as you learn from it, and that's so incredibly important. Couple different things. So at ExxonMobil, because I love comparing our little small business in Nebraska to a giant,
the behemoth,
like, oh my gosh, so big, right? Like, I don't even know if our listeners could imagine how big Exxon really is at the end of the day. And I've just learned from you, right? Mm-hmm. But tell me this: when you have to do a write up or this thing, apparently it's called a PIP.
I've never performance improvement plan.
Yes, you know what? I didn't even know what that was until recently. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't believe in PIPs. But with that being said, when you were at ExxonMobil, tell me a little bit about how they did that, because I want to tell you something that we just implemented in our company on a disciplinary or a write up or a PIP or whatever you want to call it.
There's writing people up, and then there's PIPs. Okay, so if you get to a PIP, you should have had multiple instances.
So let me interrupt you.
Yes.
Business owners, listen up, because all of this is part of your growth. As you grow in your business, you have to document, you have to have plans, and a written plan, even though Matt doesn't like them, they're very, very important to the success of the person that you're trying to help. Okay, go ahead.
Right. And some of that is simply making sure the employee is clear that something isn't right, or that the management, however you want to describe that, thinks they have done something that should have done differently. I'm trying to stay away from something wrong or bad or whatever, but something they should have done differently. So writing stuff down helps ensure clarity, which is absolutely critical if you're managing or leading. If it's leading, like clarity, where are we going? And if you're managing, it's what do you expect? Okay. So writing stuff down shouldn't be taken as a negative. It should be a helpful tool to make sure there's clarity between the supervisor and the employee if some improvement is required. So at ExxonMobil, you should have had multiples of those before you were ever on a performance improvement plan. And let me tell you.
Oh, really? Okay.
Oh, yes.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Performance improvement plan is like, okay, now it's time. Like it's either up or out kind of a thing, right? You have to figure this out.
PIP, and by the way, everybody, we're on radio. I'm using the air quotes.
Yes.
Because I don't.
If you're looking at us, you can see us using air quotes.
The PIP is like the last straw. Now we're going to get to brass tacks. Okay, that's interesting. I did not know that.
Yes, because sometimes you can just correct something again by short. Doesn't have to be all drawn out. A PIP was far more sophisticated for us, and in most companies, I think it's the same. You have maybe 6 months to try to correct, and you're putting very specific goals in place to try to meet certain things. And again, it's about clarity, but it's also about seriousness of, okay, something's got to give, right? We need you to figure this out. Now, a couple of things. We would monitor if you had lots of performance issues under a certain supervisor.
So that speaks of good culture.
Yes, absolutely speaks to culture. And if somebody, lots of times we promote up for someone who's a good individual contributor who is not meant to be a supervisor. So you need to monitor some of those things because there's kind of repeating themes that tells you something about the supervisor. So that's also an important thing that I want to throw in here, right? But the other piece of it is then also making sure you're having a detailed conversation with that employee, because perhaps they're not in the right job. Now I'm going to go back to are they the round peg in the round hole? Because generally a round peg in a round hole does well.
Right.
So what is going on that this person cannot perform to someone else's expectations? It could be the supervisor, could be the employee, could be the job, could be lack of clarity. There's like a million things it could be.
And is there a better seat on the bus for that person? Right.
Yes. So, or can you create a better seat on the bus? Yes.
So you've had to write a PIP before.
Yes. Oh, yes.
When you and I'm gonna put us in a scenarios, because here's what I envision right now. It's Saturday morning. There's somebody out there that's driving their truck with their trailer and a lawnmower on the back, and they're thinking, I got to have a talk with Johnny about this, and he's going to really be mad at me because of this. And what's going to more likely happen is, the smaller the business, they're not going to write things down. By the way, I'm speaking from experience.
Oh, yes. No, we run a small business too. Yes.
I forget to write things down.
Yes.
I still am horrible about writing a plan out and having that tough conversation. The one area that I'm really, really good at is I don't care if you're mad at me. And it's not that I don't really care. I'm just not going to let it affect my emotions, because I need you to want more and to do better for yourself. Because ultimately, if we can't come to an agreement, then you're not a good fit for my culture, and I've got to move on without you.
Right.
And no matter where you're at in our company. And by the way, I've just gotten good at this in the last 3 or 4 years. I've been at business now I've been at this second run at my business for 16 years.
Wow.
Think about that.
Yep.
For 13 years, I was screwing this up.
Well, I'm not sure that's possible, but okay.
What I'm trying to say is that it's okay to have somebody upset with you. And at ExxonMobil, I'm sure they had a lot of documentation and all this plan. Here's what I said to our team, and this is what I'm hoping I can inspire the young entrepreneur that's out there right now driving home on a Saturday morning. We came up with this form that we fill out. It's a corrective action form. We don't have PIPs because I just think they're weird, and I can't get on board with it yet. I'm sure that my team will talk me into it someday, but right now, less is more, in my opinion.
Yep.
So we have this corrective action form, and it can be anything from you're constantly late in the mornings, or you said an inappropriate comment, or you called somebody. I don't like people being called stupid in our company. You can get written up for calling somebody stupid, because I think that's a horrible thing to say.
Right. Nobody deserves that.
Right. So those are the kind of things that you could get a corrective action for. But we did this, and Rebecca, you've seen me do this finger pointing thing.
Yes, I
and for
have.
all of you out there, I'm pointing my finger with.
Look at the YouTube video right now.
Yes, my thumb goes up, and that is given faith in a higher power. But the one finger goes to you, Rebecca. But the other 3 are always 3 times more at me. So what I did is I made the form, and then I literally had one of my people draw a hand just like this, and then I put that in the middle, and I said, in order for us to be able to do a corrective action form properly, in my opinion, is we need to work 3 times harder on what we're going to do to help you get better. What phone calls are we going to make on your behalf? How are we going to pour into you? Because if we're not willing to do that, then it's probably not a good mix for us to be working together. Anyhow, and we should probably just give that person a nice little severance thing, say, here's a couple weeks pay. You should probably go try to find a different job.
Right.
Because it's just not going to work.
Right.
Now, once again, what I want to see is I want to see what my leader wrote in that area that I have that finger pointed, because that tells me if I'm doing a good job of getting them to mentor to that person. So I've changed our correction action form, and I hope that entrepreneurs out there that are listening to the show are thinking, holy cow, that's a great way to hold myself accountable. I have to have a plan on how I'm going to help you get better.
Yes.
Now, that does not mean that you get to dump your monkey on my shoulder and leave it there, right? I always call it the 2-minute monkey. You get to dump something on me for 2 minutes, but you're going to walk out this door with that monkey on your shoulder, not on mine. But I love the fact that Luke, I've had Luke on the show twice.
Yes,
he helped me put this together.
Luke's your king of culture.
He is their king of culture. Yes. And I love the fact that he didn't even hesitate. He's like, I love that idea. So for you entrepreneurs out there, please, please, please document your corrective action forms. Don't be afraid to upset the person. Also, here's another trick, Rebecca, I want to tell you that I've learned recently. So I'm a big Stephen Covey fan.
Yes.
And Stephen Covey's coming to Nebraska. And I love the speed of trust. And he has these cue cards that you can literally have a tough conversation with. And he gives you clues on how to do what he calls straight talk.
Yes.
And sometimes it's just simply saying, hey, in order for us to maintain a great culture in our company, I have to be completely honest with you. And I'm not going to sugarcoat this. Are you ready for me to be honest with you? Now you're asking them to come alongside the conversation rather than barking down at the conversation. And by the way, my dad barked down at me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I was raised in a very command and control environment. This is what you will do, or there will be a major consequence, and I'm going to dock your wages.
Yep.
And there's still a lot of people out there that dock wages. By the way, I think that's one of the dumbest things you could ever do in business, but that's just my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
I think in order to get people over a hurdle, you need to work on that finger pointing thing.
Yeah.
What am I doing to bring them into my culture better? Give me your thought. Now, I just unloaded a whole lot on you.
No, that's great. I have some thoughts, and I think this is really helpful. A couple of things I want to really point out is the sort of innovation that you bring all the time to something I describe from a corporate perspective is really important because it's part of the culture that you're setting. And a lot of people like to work in companies that have that kind of culture for dealing with things like that. ExxonMobil had to be, in its case, in its time, I'm going to say more structured, more sterile, but this was part of the culture that we started to get really tough feedback on. Like, the place is sterile. We don't feel like you love us. So that's not quite how they would say it, but It was a sterile environment because we were doing these kinds of things. Okay. So I want to point out how much that is part of the culture. You're taking the same concept, but putting a little flavor to it and putting a little human component to it. So shout out to you.
Well,
and a lot of companies need to do that, especially if they want to work for the sterile environment. It's there. I promise you, they're out there.
Yes.
But so that's a good thing. I think the other thing is to maybe distinguish between managing and leading, which is a whole show in and of itself, because a lot of these things you're talking about are about managing.
Right.
But buried in there are things that you're establishing that you expect from your leaders to do. So how do you sort through that when I say that to you?
Well, that's a big tackle. Like, that's literally so get this. This is funny you say that. On the form, Luke, up on top, it said leadership, blah, 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 blah. And down here it said management obligations.
Mm-hmm.
Their manager's obligation. And I said, can you take off that word manager and put in leader, the leader's obligation, like what we're going to do with because I am not a good manager. I want to be the best leader I can possibly be. Hence the reason why I went and jumped off that cliff.
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep lifting my leadership lid. John Maxwell says, I want to keep constantly being innovative and coming up with fresh ideas. And I felt like I was getting sterile.
Sterile.
And by the way, my leaders are all coming to me and saying, no, you're doing a great job. That's when you know that you probably aren't.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's when you know that now you have to push yourself. You're not being pushed by them. If they're giving you feedback on how you can be better, then that's good. But I know that in order for us to get to where we're going, and I'm telling you, I bet in 5 years we might double in 5 years, and it's going to be a big, heavy lift and a push. And by the way, I'm ready for it. I'm excited. I love what I get to do. I can't believe that I get to wake up every day and do what I do. So, and the entrepreneurs out there, I'm telling you, it's a grind. And I keep picturing this guy pulling a trailer with a lawnmower on it, because such and such didn't show up today on this Saturday morning. They're out.
One day we'll have the lawnmower company.
Yes,
or the lawn company.
but I want to encourage them and try to lend them some confidence to saying everything that we're talking about in this show is for you and on your behalf. But remember, it's a process, and it took me 13 years to figure out how to have these tough conversations and how to be more of a leader than a manager. It literally has been on my mind every waking moment. Rebecca, I think about it. I don't know if I stopped ever thinking about how do I become a better leader.
So that's fantastic. And maybe we're going to have to take a break. I'd like to put a concept called psychological safety on the table for talking about when we come back.
I love it.
You're doing a lot of that. So this is 93.7 The Ticket. Matt and Rebecca will be right back after a break.
Hey guys, it's Carly from Boyd Farm Outfitters. Farmers, you need to know about Green Eye Spot Spray. With Green Eye, we replace your existing spray boom with a brand new aluminum boom equipped with camera technology that identifies and sprays only weeds and not your crop. The boom comes with 2 spray lines so you can still broadcast residual herbicide while you're spot spraying weeds that are up. Green Eye users in Nebraska are saving a ton of money on herbicides, but that's just the beginning. Learn more at BoydFarmOutfitters.com. That's BOECK FarmOutfitters.com.
If you want to make new floor shopping easier, come to O Street Carpet. Hi, I'm Steve Carper. Our flooring professionals can help you choose the best flooring for you, your family, and your budget. We eliminate the confusion. Even better, you'll be enjoying your new flooring much sooner. No 6 or 8 week waits. We'll install right away and save you money on installation. Floor shopping made easy every day at O Street Carpet.
O Street Carpet.
1732 O Street. Family owned and operated. Always the best value.
This is former Husker and NFL linebacker Jay Foreman. For years, I've suffered from degenerative problems in both of my ankles, but thanks to a thorough and thought-out plan provided by Advanced Medical Imaging, I was able to get my life back with the least amount of pain as possible. While working through multiple options, the team of physicians at Advanced Medical Imaging were there to answer any questions I had. If you're experiencing any pain at all and want to get your life back, go to amimaging.com or give them a call at 402-484-6677. Advanced Medical Imaging, located at 7601 Pioneers Boulevard.
At Parkview Animal Hospital in Lincoln, it's not just their professional care that sets them apart, but their warm staff and state-of-the-art facilities. Whether it's for a routine checkup or a comprehensive medical procedure, at Parkview, your pet isn't just another number, but a valued member of their caring family. Visit them at pahlincoln.com today and in person just south of 14th and Pine Lake Road. Parkview Animal Hospital, your pet, their passion, for happier, healthier, furry friends.
You're listening to Business Builders on 93.7 The Ticket. Here are your hosts, Matt Warner and Rebecca Pearson.
All right, we are back from the break. Wow, the time always flies. Having a great show talking about leadership and PIPs and culture. And, yeah. Things you've never heard of before. If you don't know what a PIP is, listen to this show or listen back or just forget it, because we hope you never have to deal with one, right?
And I hope that they never I hope they never talked me into allowing it. It's just not my jam, Rebecca. I'm just not that kind of person.
So let's talk about psychological safety, because that is your jam.
Yes, tell me what that's all about.
Okay, so and again, kind of cross promoting our different shows. I have a show on Sunday night called Walk the Herd, and a few weeks ago we had a show on with Dr. Lawrence Chatters. He was talking about where he had just been talking to an athletic department about psychological safety, and so it's such a great concept because you can't improve your culture or continue to coach people or develop or anything if your employees will not talk to you, give you feedback, be a part of the conversation. And I'm doing this in the context of a work environment. They need to know that it's okay to say things that would normally not be accepted, because you don't want to drive that fear culture. You don't want to drive a yes man, yes ma'am type culture in a high performing organization like you and I aspire to have.
Yes.
We don't want that, but you have to create psychological safety where it's okay to say things that would typically be counter to a manager, counter to a leader, counter culture, whatever, in an environment where somebody will listen to you, at least listen and acknowledge.
Which is exactly what I was talking about earlier, how sometimes it's hard for us leaders to have a difficult conversation and to hurt somebody's feelings, or to have that awkward conversation of, hey, you're just not performing where you're at because you don't want to hurt their feelings. And that's back at us, the leader, right? Psychological safety, meaning they're willing to give us the feedback. So I totally get what you're saying. And we really are trying to build that kind of environment out in our kind of, and I do believe that it's easier to manage all of this when you're a very, very small business, when you're a startup, because also you kind of have that, hey, this is new, we're figuring things out. You got 5 or 6 people, you're all buddies, you're friends. I remember early in the days when we were working in my kitchen, it was literally Jamie, Scott, Sarah, and myself. We're pretty, to this day, we're still pretty tight, good friends. We can kind of be more open because we learned on that, or learned how to be friends within the business, and we actually enjoyed working together. Now, as we've grown and we have over 150 people, it has become more difficult to do that with other people, and you have to have these tough conversations. But psychological safety, I'm gonna write that down and talk to Luke a little bit more about that, to just maybe put us in check, because on the break we were talking. I think that when everything is going good is when it's the hardest to self-examine of where you're at in your leadership lid.
Right.
And I think right now everything is going really good. Hence, once again, I hate to keep going back, but I did go jump off of a 500-foot cliff to push myself
out of. Proud of that because I can't do it.
Out of my comfort zone, and I love it that I did it. I learned a lot about myself. I learned about, but I'm going to study this psychological safety because I really do think that us as entrepreneurs, and I hope that everybody that's listening agrees that we need to have that open dialogue back and forth at all levels of the business, whether it's day one for a new person just starting or somebody that's been with you for 15 years.
Right. And that's absolutely true. And maybe another concept that came from that same show with Lawrence Chatters was we were talking about allies. And when you have to say something that's not comfortable, if you say it in a meeting or feel like you want to say it in a meeting, but you're not sure, or even if it's in a small group, having an ally be there to reinforce what you said, right? You always know if you're going to say the bold thing and then someone else says, yeah, I think the same thing. You're like, whew, I'm not hanging out there by myself, right? But that's part of psychological safety, but it's also a part of the concept of being an ally. And if you're going to be an ally for someone, you need to speak up, right? You can't be the ally in their head. You got to say something. So this happens a lot in gender conversations, which is partly why we were talking about it on that show. But it was a major discussion at ExxonMobil when we were training people how to be inclusive, because we had this very homogenous culture of, in that case, I'm going to say engineering men. Okay. Yep. And that just creates its own culture, and it's easy. If you're in engineering and you're male, I know, again, stereotypical, but it's easy because you all think alike, you all act alike, right? And then you bring somebody else in that doesn't quite fit, and they're not comfortable speaking up to say, I get it, y'all are talking whatever, but I don't get it because I'm not that, or something, right? Create many examples.
Create a safety net, a psychological safety net in your environment that everybody's willing to speak up. And you know what? As a leader, sometimes it hurts. Matter of fact, today we were in yesterday we were in a meeting yesterday, and I had an idea, and it got shot down right away. And I walked out of there going, I thought that was a really damn good idea. Why doesn't anybody like my idea? And here I am. I have a lot of confidence.
And that technically you're the boss. You could just say that's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
but you don't.
But I was like, holy crap, nobody liked my idea. And I think that
how safe were they in saying that, though?
But they did.
Isn't that awesome?
And they literally shut me down. Now it still bothers me. It still bothers me today because I'm like, doggone it, that was a good idea. You should listen to me. No, but I'm joking. If for all my people that are listening, I'm
hopefully
totally
laughing.
I'm totally sure joking, laughing. and they know who I am well enough. Well, Rebecca, this is one of my favorite things to talk about and to study. And I learned something today. I'm literally going to go back to my office and dive into this psychological safety and make sure our checks and balances are good, and talk to Luke about it ultimately. I also found out that he has more empathy than I do. So I literally told him one day, and we can wrap it up on this, but I said, no matter what happens to me, you're going to have your hands full making sure that we always have empathy and that we're empathetic towards our people. You're always going to have that battle. So please know, do not ever jeopardize our culture and our empathy for our people. That is the number one. By the way, I think it's the biggest ROI. Mm-hmm. I really think it builds a lot of profit, which we can talk about that in another show. And the difference between leadership and management.
Yes.
I don't like management at all. I love leadership. It's my passion. It's my jam. But today, this has been all about culture. This is what I hope that lawn mowing company out there is diving into and taking it and growing it.
All right. Well, that's the last word from Matt Warner. This is Matt and Rebecca at 93.7 The Ticket Business Builders. We'll see you next week.